Welcome to India today. This is truly an honor for two reasons. One is because I'm sitting with two people who are extremely passionate about what they do. Words obviously fall short to describe their legacy of work. The canvases behind me, the frames behind me speak volumes about the detailing and the efforts that have gone into bringing this film to life. I want to first of all welcome you guys to India today. And I want to speak to you a bit about, while growing up, Mani sir, I want to ask you, what were the films that left a mark on you in terms of impressions? When you step into a theater, the color, the canvas for a child leaves impressions. Anything that stands out for you while growing up that left?
Too many films, too many good films, too many fantastic ones, and that time you don't realize that all these become your inputs, but it definitely leaves a lot of impression on you.
Okay, and Rehman, I want to ask you, there's a definition for melody, right? The first time you both sat in a studio, how would you describe his ears connect with melody? How is that like?
He has this instinct, which is amazing. So sometimes, he picks tunes which are done 90s or 2000, and he said, hear this. I was like, when did I do this? And once, actually, that's one of the tunes which gave for Jage. It just gave me I was using the tape recorder cassette one that time. It's very noisy. I said, okay, we can make a symphony out of this, and like a choral kind of thing. That's what happened. So I trust his instincts quite a lot. Sometimes why didn't you listen to this stuff? Very few times I've said that, and then he's accepted that. Like Nenjukule was one for that. And, yeah.
Right, and I also believe that you joked that how you were almost kidnapped and you were in Bali, where you sort of both locked yourself and isolated yourself from a lot of stuff. How was the recording process like? What was it like, just organically?
So Bali, we went because, if you look at the 9th century conquest, they went to the east, they conquered. And if you look at those Indonesia or Jakarta, there's a lot of influence about Ramayana and Mahabharata. So we wanted to see whether some of the influence had gone very early, yes, and they retained them. So that was the reason why we went to some of the temples and we heard them sing and all the rituals and all the stuff. So even the music, like the monkey chant. And so most of the melodies came in that 1 week session.
Wow.
He didn't respond like, yeah. And then finally, like 3 months later, I like this. I picked up most of the stuff from there.
Okay, great. I also have to ask you that, in terms of visuals, there is so much emphasis on that in these days, in times where the audience is also exposed to so much content. I was looking at the standees outside, and like I said, everything that the actor is wearing, from the anklet to the amulet on the hand to the earrings, is so detailed. Talk to me a bit about that process. Like, was it a lot of research? How did it go about?
Yeah, I mean, as much as we can get close to what we have in terms of evidence, in terms of documentation, and in terms, I think temples essentially formed a thing. And luckily for us, the Chola period has been extensively researched. It's one of the few, eras which have been documented very well, because Cholas by themselves started this practice of writing it down in temples, on stone carvings. Every bit that they have given out, every mason who's been a part of building the temple, everything has been documented.
Right.
How many water bodies were created, who donated for it, everything is documented. So to a large extent, I think that Chola period is well covered in terms of details. But still, the visual details are something that we have to extrapolate.
Right.
Now we see the temple, we'll see the sculptures, and then we have to take that forward and go close to it.
Absolutely. And what was your first, when was the first time you discovered the books? Because everything that you read, you visualize, and then you bring that to life, right? What was it about the books and the story that resonated with you?
I read the book long before I thought I'll get into movies. I read it during my school time.
Oh, wow.
And it's an adventure. It's a pure, fantastic adventure. Probably that's the first adventure book that I've read in Tamil. Before that, you've read them in English, but this is the first full scale, and it's as good as any.
Yes.
It's a 5-part book, and it's absolutely entertaining, and it's absolutely detailed in terms of characters. And it not only tells the story, it tells the history, it tells the culture, it talks about the music at that time, it talks about the politics at that time. So it was fascinating to be able to put all that, mixing facts and fiction together and keeping it really entertaining. I mean, it came in as a weekly.
Right.
Every week it was published, and I'm told that the whole lot of audience would just wait for it to come the next week.
Yes,
so,
I was reading the numbers that the circulation of that weekly went to sky high after this story started coming out. That in itself is so great. Rehman, I want to talk to you a bit about the fact that you have a presence on your Instagram, on your social media space. You're very selective about what you share, but when you share it, there is excitement in fandom. What happens to you when you stumble upon somebody remaking your song, or you hear a piece of somebody trying to do a DJ version of it or a studio version of it? What is your take on that?
I think that the more I see all this stuff, I think it gets distorted. What the intention of a composer gets distorted. People say, I'm reimagined. Well, who are you to reimagine stuff? So even I'm careful of taking somebody else's work. We have to be respectful. And I think that's the gray area. We need to sort that out.
How do you respond when a producer or a director comes to you and says, let's get this track from you or that film because it did so well, let's give it a 2022 version and remake it?
The thing about my music, yesterday we had the Telugu launch, and one of the producers, Dil Raju, said, every song which you guys have done together sounds fresh now because it was all done in digital mastering. So it already has that quality and everybody appreciates it. So if I need to do that, I should do that. So I need to recreate. And of course, people take permission, but you can't take something very recent and remix again because it kind of feels very weird.
If you had to dig into his playlist on his phone, what tracks would you discover? Apart from the stuff that...
He has all my tunes. I usually give him like 20, 30, 40 tunes.
Wow.
And then I have the bank.
Oh, you're the one to go to there.
He brings it back and say, yeah, exactly. So he's always happy. Okay, if he messes up, I got backup.
Oh, absolutely. That's a treasure that you've got with you.
I do.
I have to speak to you about Aishwarya. I mean, there is no way that I can't speak about her. Just the fact that two of you together, when you go back to Iruvar and you think about the day when she was on set and the first time you said action and the Aishwarya in the film, what is your description of her remarkable journey?
Not very different. I think she was very hardworking then. She learned Tamil at that point of time when she did the first film and she had a mode she had to do. She would do it like, she would have known all her lines by heart and she would say it so you can actually direct her beyond it. So I think even now it's the same. And for this, she's got much longer dialogues, much more elaborate, much more intricate, and she was ready with all of them. And I think it's quite amazing how she's able to do that.
Is she somebody who improvises, or is she somebody who works in the bracket of what has been asked her to give? Because there are two kinds of actors.
I think any actor, this is what I believe in, that any actor should bring something of himself or herself into the character. There's, somebody is just going to do what I say, then it's no use. Then it's, it's going to be two-dimensional. Unless they put in, Aishwarya becomes Nandini. And converts what is written and what is being directed into, internalize it and brings it out. That's when I think we feel that we're seeing somebody genuine.
Right. That's
in this, she looks evil without being evil.
Absolutely.
Somebody who looks so pure can be evil.
Yeah.
Is spooky.
That in itself is a great thing to do. I mean, who would have imagined?
So she looks stunning in this.
She does. She looks absolutely stunning. And I have to quickly pick your brain and ask you, because we don't get this audience with you any time sooner than expected. But what is your take on films? Do you watch films? Do you watch films in the OTT space? Do you go to theaters? Have you watched anything of late that has impressed you?
I do everything. I do everything that you do. Whatever you do, I do.
Have you watched RRR or Brahmastra or anything recent that has...
No, this has got PS1 releasing, so last few months have been, everything else has been in the back burner.
Yeah.
So I'll catch up on all those.
Okay. And Rehman, you've been a regular sort of to say at the Oscars. You've sort of done that whole bit that one does when one goes there. What is your take on the excitement for RRR this year? In general, are you of the opinion that we make a lot of it, or do you think that it's a prestige?
I just wish the best for them because there's a lot of buzz in international circuit about RRR, and I hope they get what they want. Yeah, my good wishes.
Okay, that's a sweet thing. And I can't end the conversation without asking you guys. I'm not going to ask you a long question, but I just want you to tell me the one word or the one line when I take the name of these films, which have been the legacy that you guys have, and this has come from fans. So I've taken 5 titles. It's very difficult to sort of shortlist that, but I'll start with you, sir. Roja, the memory, the first thing.
I think it's a great start for a journey with Rehman.
Okay. And do you remember the first time he entered the room and what was he like and what was the conversation?
Yeah, I remember everything. It's like yesterday. I remember how he was and how he will compose and I mean, it's a small room. I'm used to working in a huge studio, in Prasad Studio, which is large and things. And here I come for the first time. And it's really a tiny space. So I'm wondering what is happening here. And then he has got his headphone, he's working on his keyboard, I can't hear anything that he is composing, I'm just sitting there, and the end of it, after some time, he takes the headphone off, and then puts it on, and he walks out. Oh. He doesn't stay there. And then you listen to sound which is like what I've never heard before, it's so fresh and so pure and so good, that it is unbelievable, the small studios, and this one young man was able to produce that kind of music.
So I compensated that. So I took him to my Firda studio in Dubai. I said, okay, let's watch the movie here, sir. But all the...
You made up for it.
Yeah, big screen and such a big hall there. And, yeah.
Wow, that's literally going back in time and jogging your memory. Bombay?
Bombay, I think just the theme music of Bombay was something very special.
It gives me goosebumps even now when I think of it.
Actually, we had wanted him to record a song. He had composed this before. He had composed the other songs also. We had shooting going on, and we wanted a song which we are planning to shoot in a very short while. So I finished the day shoot and was coming here, expecting to hear the song that I needed for the shooting the next week. And I come into the studio, and he's not recorded that. He's recorded something else. And then he plays me this theme music. It is just out of the world, I mean, it's just something
divine.
Which is,
out of the world.
I was actually composing for his wife,
Oh.
Hasani ma'am, and in GV's house, brother's house. And I was composing for her, and this thing came. And I told her, like, I'm doing something for somebody else here. Is it okay in your space? I said, who? I said, your husband. So the theme came in that house, actually. And then
Wow, who would have thought? And that theme is just timeless. It has stood the test and will stand the test of time. I want to ask you, Dil Se, the memory?
The memory is, he never told me the story. He said, I want to tell you the story. And just give me 7 stages of love. I said, okay. This is trippy now. And then, so the whole brief was that. He never told me what story.
Was that on a reason? Was that a conscious effort to...
Sometimes you do strange things. I have no logic. I can't imagine why I didn't say that. I must have thought
that
then.
Actually kind of pushed all of us to think on a another realm, which people feel like, even now, feel like that's one of the best soundtracks.
Absolutely.
And because the inspiration is like way above.
Sometimes it's, like even with the lyricists, if you tell the exact situation, they get bound by it.
Yes.
If you don't say it exactly, but if you give them an abstract view, then it becomes, I mean...
You're giving away something to other filmmakers.
I was in, after the Oscars, I went to each studio. My agent wanted me to introduce me to all the music supervisors. So he took me to Warner Brothers and Fox and Sony, and we had meetings. The whole studio executives came, and then... So while we were walking from either Warner or Fox, I think one white lady started running behind me. Hey, wait. If you meet Mani Ratnam, just tell him that I watched this Dil Se 40 times. I love that movie.
That's a crazy memory. Was Yuva a lot of fun? Just in case, just the vibe of the film and the music?
I think Yuva had a completely different kind of music, so it was... And I think it's very much Rehman's zone.
And it's so current even now, the tracks, if you go to a club, you can play all of that.
Yeah.
Is that what you think for you?
Yeah, we performed Fana for
Yes,
this whole recent
exactly.
tour. Yeah.
I remember that, for Fana, halfway through I was in some screening, in a preview theater, and I get a call from Rehman. It must have been about 11 in the night. So I come outside and pick it up, and he says, I think some magic is happening here. That's when the Fana was getting recorded. I think it was just, he was
In
just...
its earlier stages.
Yeah, it was just flowing, so I think he was going through the car.
Yeah.
So that's...
Yeah, it
truly
also
magical.
came with them, Ebu, but we were just talking like, what is the hook? What is the hook of the
Yeah.
what is the song? And we were talking about something deep, spiritual thing, and I was saying Fana, Bakan. And he said like, Fana. That's the title of the song. It's like, how will it fit in? F word is nice too.
But it is sort of a spiritual experience, that song,
Yeah.
given the words that they keep ringing in your ear, it takes you to a different place.
Darya mein Qatra.
Absolutely, absolutely. And finally, again, it's a very short list, I had to struggle. Guru. What was that like? The first memory that jogs to your mind when I say that?
I think nobody's done a movie like that in India. Nobody's done a movie like that and pulled it off. I think genius. And what casting?
Yes, absolutely. What casting?
One of
and-
Abhishek's best, I think.
Absolutely. Again, the music for that, was it a different take given the fact that it's a different sort of a genre of a film? It's sort of based around, a personality. So did you look at the music from a different way?
Yeah, I think also it's a time period that
Yes.
it travels through and the changes that were happening. So somewhere that kind of represented in the music also, in the songs. Each one was of a different kind, to show the trajectory.
Absolutely. I think in this conversation, I have definitely gone through I've time traveled and gone through all these films and absolute gems of
I think
tracks.
Jage, now every movie I do, they put Jage as a temp music. I said, oh my God, don't do this. And you have to come with another Jage for that. Because they match the cut to that. It's so difficult when they put something like Jage, which he only
Yes.
found the tune. In one of my, on the voice memos, he said, why don't we use this tune? And it's like, I can make a symphony out of this, and choral symphony. And, it's really good.
No, that's called magic. I mean, just the fact that both of you are so genius at what
And
you
of course,
do.
Gulzar Saab.
He can't he just adds the extra.
And he just,
Perfect.
once he puts the stuff, then it gets wings. And
It takes
What's that?
goes to a different level. And again, for PS1, just the canvas, the excitement, like I was telling you, on social media, because this is a new space now where fans look at films and they are eagerly awaiting. One of the most discussed films, I think it's damn exciting. It's going to be really interesting to see the story behind the Chola dynasty. Very little information, whatever we have, across the world, we are going to get a glimpse into their life. And all the very best. I'm so excited. I can't wait to watch the film on a big screen, probably in an IMAX or a bigger screen, and take the full experience. And thank you so much for speaking to India today.
Thank you.